Alright, so in this lesson we're given some information about the parabola and we're asked to write the standard form of the equation. So again, my first suggestion would be to draw out what you've been given about the parabola. We've been given that the vertex is at 2, 5. I'll try to draw as clearly as possible. And that the parabola passes through the points negative 1, 8 and negative 1, 2. Oh, there. And I should do these in a different color so you remember they're not the vertex. Here and here. So we know the vertex is the turning point, that black point that we put on first. So we know that the parabola, that must be its furthest to the right, and this parabola must be opening to the left. So the first thing we needed to know was which standard form are we working with, the one with the y squared or the x squared, and now we know that we're working with the y because it opens to the left. That's how we know. Okay, so here's our standard form. Remember, in this HK is our vertex. So this is our vertex is HK. We can go ahead and put those values in. So I have y minus 5 squared equals 4p times x minus 2. Okay? Now our next job is to find out what p is. Now we don't know where the directrix is, which would be this line back here, and we don't know where the focus point is. All we really know at this point is that it opens to the left. But we do know that the equation should follow that. So what we're going to do is take either of these 2 points that we know work in the equation because they are on the parabola, and we're going to substitute them for x and y into our equation and then solve for p. Okay, so I've chosen to use the point negative 1, 8. Okay, so again, we're going to replace our y then with an 8 from that point. Minus 5 squared equals 4p times x. The x from our point that we chose was negative 1 minus 2. Now you can't pick any point out of the blue. It has to be something on the parabola, and they gave us 2 options we could have used. Okay, so we go 8 minus 5 would be 3 squared equals 4p, because we're trying to solve for p here. So first thing we're going to do is simplify what we've been given. We can go ahead and do 3 squared would be 9, and 4 times negative 3 is a negative 12p. The last thing we would have to do to solve for p is divide both sides by negative 12. Okay, and we are left with p is equal to negative 9/12, which reduces to negative 3/4. So what do we do with that? We take it back up to this standard form that we were working with. So again, recall that we knew, based on our vertex and the direction it opened, that we had y minus 5 squared equals 4p times x minus 2. We've now solved and found that this p is negative 3/4. So we just put that right into the equation and simplify it. Okay, so if we do 4 times negative 3/4, we just get negative 3. The standard form for our equation is going to be y minus 5 squared equals negative 3 times x minus 2. Okay, so a little different than that last type, but we still just use the basics of a parabola. Okay, here's one more example of that just to walk you through it. If you want to pause and try it out for yourself just to see how you're doing, that would be fine. And then you can push play and check it, see if it went well. So again, start by putting the information you have on the graph. So it says our vertex is at negative 3, negative 1. I want to put that on the graph first. It will let me. And the next thing we want to do is put those other 2 points. It says the parabola goes through 0, 2 and negative 6, 2. So again, the vertex is the turning point for our graph. So we know that this point here, our -3, -1, is probably the lowest point, and it's going to have to go up through these other two. Okay. So we have a parabola that opens up. So we know the standard form we're working with should be an x squared form. So we have x minus h squared equals 4p times y minus k. That's the standard form of the equation we're going to use. Again, hk is our vertex, so we just go ahead and put those in to start with. So we know x minus -3 squared equals 4p. We don't know p yet. Y minus -1. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and simplify that. Minus negative would make this +3, minus negative would make that +1. Right, now to find p, we know that these points are on the parabola. So we know that it passes through either of these, both of these actually. So I just pick one, and I use their x and y value and plug it into the equation I have so far to solve for p. So we are using the point 0, 2. If you use the other point, you would get the same result. So I'm going to replace all of my x's with zeros and all of my y's with 2's. Okay, so notice I replaced my y with a 2 there and my x with a 0 there. I simplify that, so I have 3 squared equals 4p times 3. On the left-hand side, 3 squared is 9. On the right-hand side, 4 times 3 is 12. Unfortunately, I knew it was a very similar problem. That won't always happen. And solve for p. So I divide both sides by 12, and I get p equals 3/4. Now we take our standard form that we were working with up here, and we put in the p, and we're done. So we have x plus 3 squared equals 4p times y plus 1. We just figured out down here our p was 3/4. So we put our 3/4 right here instead of p and simplify. 4 times 3/4 would give us 3, and there you have it. That would be the standard form for the equation of the parabola they described to us.